What does Zion's injury mean for the Pelicans?
I think it means they should be very, very concerned. He is the franchise. Anthony Davis is no longer there, and even if Anthony Davis was there, as great as he is, because Zion ain't on that level, he's not the phenomenon this kid is. This kid is something special in terms of the attention that he brings and what box office appeal, et cetera, the athleticism, the girth, the 6'6", 280 pounds. But this has been my primary concern about him. He knows he doesn't know how to go any less than 100 miles an hour. He goes after it. He's constantly aggressive and ferocious in attack mode. And to me, the one thing that could potentially derail him are those legs. And so when you look at it from that perspective, understand as somebody that's had problems with my knees all my adult life, okay, let's understand something here. When your knee is messed up in any way, it affects the ability to run, it affects the ability to jump, it affects lateral movement, okay? So you're talking about an entire arsenal of Zion Williamson being severely compromised due to health reasons if they don't get that together. They need to be ultra concerned and ultra protective of him in that regard and to make sure that they take care of his legs just as much as they take care of his game.
It means the Pelicans are going to miss the playoffs, and I wasn't sure that they would make it anyway. You didn't mention why he missed those 6 games with the right knee. It's because his sneaker exploded.
Yeah.
Because like on Earth here, the materials we use and the process we use to put equipment together is not meant to withstand cosmic forces of pressure that Zion Williamson can put on a sneaker. You know who he reminds me of? And I'm just making an analogy here in terms of this thought of certain kinds of players. Obviously, they're not the same type of player, but Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose was like, when you watch him, you wondered, like, can he stay healthy? Because his fast twitchies were so fast that you're like, does the human frame, can the skeleton, like, contain that energy of stopping and starting? And Zion Williamson's like that, but he's 280. So in the long run, this could be good news for the Pelicans because of load management, which is what I anticipate and why I think they'll miss the playoffs. They're going to have to be careful. We saw with Kawhi Leonard coming off an injury. Load management worked. They won the title. He won Finals MVP. It's good that Zion Williamson's playing in this era instead of the previous one, where they may have played him too many minutes too often, not taking that into consideration. But I do think it means they miss the playoffs because it's not a perfectly constructed roster. I don't think they have enough shooting anyway. They would need him to be Superman to get them there, particularly if you see that Porzingis looks healthy. Because if he stays healthy for the Mavs, him and Doncic, that's a problem. I think they missed the playoffs because of this.
I think they missed the playoffs because they're in the Western Conference, even before all of this. Because the bottom line is, let's call it what it is. Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Derek Favors. I mean, Drew Holiday is the one guy that you can lean your hat, you can hang your hat on because you know what he brings to the table. And I'm not trying to cast aspersion on Derek Favors. I know he's got some skills. He did some good things in Utah. But the bottom line is when you look at this roster,
we're going to shoot the ball.
Exactly, and it ain't that ultra impressive. If they were in the Eastern Conference, then yeah. But I didn't see them going to the playoffs really in the West anyway.
And when you look at the way the roster's constructed, J.J. Redick, right, like Lonzo you should have on the floor with Zion. That's a good combination. But Drew Holiday can shoot and under pressure can shoot, but you don't really think
Drew
of him
Holiday
as
can play, period.
But you don't think of him as a killer, just dead-eye shooter. And that's the best guy they have who can play both ways.
But he makes up for it because he defends.
No doubt, but what I'm saying is Lonzo, Drew Holiday, Brandon Ingram, that's not enough shooting to put around Zion to begin with. And if you take one of those guys out and put Redick in.
They did acquire Redick.
But now you've lost on the defensive end. It's not. It was a roster that needed Zion to play out of his mind to make the playoffs in the West, and this means they're going to have to be careful.
Stephen A., you guys keep mentioning load management. Is it ridiculous to load manage a rookie, or is that something that the Pelicans should seriously consider with Zion?
They might have to seriously consider it because if you came into the NBA with a knee issue, all right, and it showed up again in preseason, and then now it showed up. I'm talking about even before. I'm even talking about preseason. I'm talking about the summer league, and then after that preseason starts, and now it has shown up again. Before one single game has counted, there are 3 knee issues in the last 8 months that we can point to involving this kid. And he is the face of your franchise. So again, you have to guard it. It's not about limiting minutes. It's not about limiting games. It's about monitoring him to the point where any kind of issue that comes up with his legs, you prioritize that.
in baseball, if you had a rookie phenom pitcher back in the day, they let him throw 130 pitches in a start. If he had a shutout going, they let him pitch 250 innings, and then his arm would fall off. Dwight Gooden, when he was 20 years old, was one of the best pitchers who ever lived, and by the time he was 25, effectively, he was never elite again. Zion Williamson, nowadays, when a young pitcher comes up, Felix Hernandez or Clayton Kershaw, they're like, oh, let's be careful. Let's limit the innings, limit the pitches, et cetera. And old-timers complain, but, well, you could argue whether it works or not. The point is that's the era we're now in basketball. You got a guy like Zion Williamson, you're not going to do stupid stuff like play him 40 minutes a game for 82 games. You got to be careful. And what this will do will make sure that even when there's something to play for and there's something on the line, the Pelicans franchise should keep the long term in mind. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.